Tons of yoga classes end with a reclined abdominal twist. This is a super relaxing way to transition into your final savasana. But what if your back hurts? Hey, I'm Sarah Curry from Blaze Yoga and Pilates, and I have a couple of great tips for you so you can get the most out of this posture and use it as the perfect transition into your final resting posture instead of something that's a pain in the back. So, to start, we have to understand how your back works, in particular, your lower spine. The vertebrae in your lower back are big, blocky, thick, heavy, and stable and sturdy, and they brace against each other. And that bracing, and then the facet joints, actually prevents you from being able to rotate very much. You have a lot of capacity for flexion, forward bending, and extension, backward bending. But when you total it all up in the five lumbar vertebrae, you have about 5 degrees rotational capacity. Just think about that for a second. A circle is 360 degrees. Your lower back can rotate 5%. Your thoracic spine, the mid and upper back, and your cervical spine have significantly more rotational capacity. So when you're doing a twist, you're really twisting not lower, middle, upper back, but the mid, upper back, and cervical spine or your neck. So when we do a reclined abdominal twist, what happens to most people is they try to get a feeling of twisting, like when your chiropractor cracks your back in the lower spine. And if you do that, the lower back is going to have a bowel movement, upstream or downstream. It's either going to make something just above the lower spine try to rotate more than it can, or something just below the lower spine try to rotate more than it can, which for most of us is the sacroiliac joint, where your sacrum sits right in your pelvis. So if you get this sort of pain right in the back of your hip there when you do it, it's because the lower spine can't turn, but you're jamming it. And so you're sitting on the back two legs of your chair in school, right? Your teacher always said the chair was going to break. Same thing here. So let me show you. Let's get down on the floor and I'll show you how to do this posture so that you can actually enjoy it. Go ahead and lie right down on the floor to try this one. Usually in class, you'll come into this posture on the floor, on your back, shift the hips to the side, and either tuck your knees up and roll, pick eagle legs, or something like that. Maybe you'll straighten the bottom leg. But what we're doing is we're bringing the pelvis and the lower body over to one side while we bring the torso to the other side. And the number one mistake people make, because we start on the back, is we make the incorrect assumption that in this posture, the shoulders should be on the ground. So we end up struggling to get the hips and then the pelvis to do all of this work to get in contact with the ground. It's actually quite the opposite. So if you're super flexible, do whatever you want to. If this feels tender and uncomfortable for you, roll all the way over onto your side like you're snuggled up taking a nap on the couch on a Sunday, so that your knees and your legs are fixed and on the floor and the pelvis is perfectly vertical up and down. From here, leave your lower body alone, leave the lower spine alone, and rotate your chest, your shoulders, your upper back in the other direction. Whether or not your shoulder touches the ground is totally immaterial. We want to get you to a position where you feel some kind of stretching in your chest and in your shoulders, and that you're working on maximizing the rotational capacity of the parts of your spine that actually can do it. And remember that this is a relaxing and a restive posture. It's not intense and yang. So your goal here is to get into a position that feels comfortable, that you can relax and slow your breathing, because generally after this one, we're going to unwind and slide right into Savasana. Now, those of you who have a little bit more issues with your hips, pay attention to the angle of your top leg. So in some variations, we have the knees tucked up where this top knee is supported by the bottom leg. You can make it feel even more intense, and it mostly drives it into the lower back and hip by releasing the lower leg down and bringing this knee all the way to the floor. If you're going to do this, notice what happened. Bring your pelvis with you. You're not trying to keep the pelvis here and crank the knee down into wicked amounts of adduction, especially if you have issues with this hip and it bothers you when you do that, particularly on the closing angle. For those of you that have chronic back of the hip and hip pain, you're going to almost always keep that knee supported by the bottom leg or a block or a pillow or a bolster if you're practicing at home. But if you do decide to take variation where you remove that leg or you try eagle legs, bring your pelvis with you. Stabilize it and anchor it to the ground, and concentrate on rotating in the upper back only, and don't try to get the stretch to happen here in your pelvis or your lower back. This way you can actually restore the body with this posture, help it to wind down, and enjoy this part of your practice instead of suffering in every class. Reclined abdominal twist can be a great addition to your yoga and your meditation practice, but only if you do it in ways that suit your body. So truly tune into yourself, pay attention, and make sure the stuff that you're doing feels good for you.